for help. I made a promise to myself. I says, if I can do this, okay, like if I can really, like if I focus and I can do this, then I want to give back as much as I can. But if once again I fail, like I will stop at nothing just to take my own life. Like if I fail again, like this is it. I'm giving God one more chance. I'm giving the world
This is Scratch Your Own Itch, the one show that delivers the conversations that we're afraid to share, but need to. This show is all about creating a life worth living. I'm Logan Tyler Nelson, and I'm your host. So, you're going to hear conversations with creators and entrepreneurs talk about what they do, their current and past traumas, how they became who they are, and what they are truly curious about. This is the show where we talk about the things we think about a lot, but need to talk about more. Please take note that this show is not a substitute for actually creating a life worth living, because this show will stir your beliefs, make you question what it means to create a life worth living. So my promise to you is to always give you one question to answer for yourself today, to start turning your dreams into a reality. Hey, you. Yeah, just you. So, guess what? This interview is packed with full of just things that will make you feel a lot of things. Sean Douglas is a resilience coach. We talk about his upbringing in that sort of field. We also talk about what he teaches, and we talk about a story in which he had someone come up to him and tell him he was the reason why he didn't go through with suicide, which to hear this story is just it really hurts to hear, because honestly, that's the reason why people need to share their pain, to make just one person out there, because it starts with one, to focus on that one person to save. You know what I mean? Well, I believe that you right now have that power, and you're not sure exactly how to do that. And I think it's by sharing your story as much as possible. And if you're having a hard time finding a vehicle to tell your story, please join my Facebook Scratch Your Own Itch Facebook group, Creating a Life Worth Living. And we certainly talk about the quality questions that need to be asked for a quality life. And I believe that questions that you ask yourself, like a couple of questions that I have in the interview, take focus and look at those. Also, please hit that subscribe button and don't miss another episode. And if you could leave a review, that would just mean the world to me. The biggest compliment, though, is to share this episode with the people that need to hear it. You know, there's a huge difference in that thing that people want to do versus the thing that people need to do. And, you know, sometimes I talk about hard work and working hard and everything like that, but you know that feeling. You know that focus that you get when something just needs to get done. And so, think about that. Think about those things. What needs to get done? That's my quality question for Scratch Your Own Itch today. What needs to get done in order for you to start creating the life that you need to live? Enjoy my interview with Sean Douglas. Attention. Okay. Okay. This is not a military online radio show, but honestly, right now, you need to pay attention to your life, attention to who you want to be, your overall why, and how you need to be thankful for your struggles you have. I know that sounds weird, but seriously, be thankful for them. I advocate this, and so does my guest. My guest today is Sean Douglas, and he is very familiar with the word attention. That word is something that he not only heard a ton, but has said a lot. Sean is a U.S. Air Force veteran, master resilience implementer, professional speaker, international radio show host, performance enhancement expert, and author. He inspires and motivates you to live your brand so you can grow personally and professionally. Sean equips people with tools necessary to live epic lives and leaves people being ready to manage and change effectively. His why is he's a suicide survivor. And today he and I are going to talk about a number of things, ranging from suicide surviving to alcoholic to becoming author, and even at one point being a bully, but now being a hero for those bullies, or those once bullies, as I should say. So allow me to introduce you to Sean Douglas. Hey, Sean, what's going on, man?
Doing well, man. Blessed, and I got air in my lungs and purpose in my heart. So today's a good day.
Oh, I love it, dude. I love how you're about the thankfulness right away off the bat.
Yeah, man.
Thanks a lot for coming on Scratch Your Own Itch. I discovered you through Jeremy's podcast, and I'm thankfulness thing, man, and it helps a lot.
Oh, absolutely, man. Yeah, having an attitude of gratitude, just creates a buffer for challenges. The more positivity that you have in your life, that's what you see. So Tony Robbins always says, where focus goes, energy flows. So if you focus on your positives, then that's the energy that you're going to put into the universe, and it's going to be, positive energy in your life. If we always focus on the negatives, then that's the energy that's created in our life is negative energy. And that's what we put out into the universe is negative energy.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, when you smile at people, like, it's so odd how more people smile, right? Or
Yep.
if you're upset and you have this like resting, some people call it resting bitch face, then
Yep.
people actually will give you their resting bitch face back, and it, it's kind of, but that's just the way we live, and I think the world we live in is exactly what you said. Where energy goes is where it flows. But anyways, dude, I'd like to take it back before we even get into those goodies. I want to kind of get into, if you don't mind, your severe trauma, the things you went through, from addiction to even having suicidal thoughts. And I know that story, but I know my listeners don't. If you don't mind going there and taking us to that time.
Yeah. So Christmas Eve, 2008, I was sitting on the floor in my bedroom, and, just trying to figure out what the heck happened in my life, and I'd found alcohol at kind of an early age, and it was a suppressant for me to not feel anything, to not have to deal with my problems or issues. And I got really good at masking my pain, like really good. And then I became really good at not being detected as an alcohol abuser, So Christmas Eve, 2008, I haven't stopped drinking, been married a year. My wife took the kids and left, and she's like, I can't deal with your behavior. I can't, like, friends are coming over, the same friends that, tore me down last time. We're watching UFC fights and having parties in the basement and getting wasted on the weekends. And, she just can't deal with it anymore. So she ended up leaving. And then the military's like, look, man, you haven't stopped drinking, so we're probably going to, remove you from service. And So like my whole life's crumbling around, around me. So I sat there on my floor, my back up against my bed and just looking in the mirror that was across the room. It's like, this is ridiculous. Like I mess everything up, I just started doing the whole negative spiral thing where it's like, it's all my fault. I screw everything up. He's talking about like all or nothings, he's talking about blaming yourself. I always mess things up. I never can do anything right. You know, People will never love me, that type of thing. And, I had a bottle of Jack Daniels in my hand. My drink was Double Jack and Dr. Pepper, man. It was good. And so I'm sitting there with a bottle of Jack Daniels in my hand and I'm just like, dude, why can't I stop, sucking at life? Why is it so hard for me, but like everybody else just seems to be flourishing? Like what? This is ridiculous. So I started feeling sorry for myself and I was like, I was cursing God, it's all your fault. Like I hate you. This is all your fault. I can't believe you do this to me, And so I was like, what? I can't keep doing this. There was a conscious decision made, that was like, I just want to mess thing up and you're crying and stuff. And I was like, I just want someone to love me and, all that stuff, and I was just like, I can't keep living like this. Like something has to change. Like I just can't keep living like this. And then, closet door was open. So I looked in my closet and like, there's the gun safe. I'm like, you know what? Like, I always mess things up. I'm getting kicked out of the military. My wife left. Like, I'm so sick of this. I'm just going to end it. Like, I just don't want to do this no more. Like, I just can't do this anymore. And then I started finding reasons why that was a good idea, and you start, reassuring yourself, like, it'll be better when I'm gone and nobody will want to, deal with me and they'd be better off with me gone and, and all that. So, I found myself, sitting right by the closet, man, with a loaded 9mm in one hand and a bottle of Jack Daniels in the other. And, I was ready to go, man. I was ready to go. So, I put the gun in my mouth and, I got a phone call. Believe it or not, I got a phone call. And, my dad and I don't have a relationship. I've talked to him, he called me during Christmas, but, other than that, I haven't talked to him this year. And he called me like out of the blue, just calls me, and had it been anybody else, I don't think I would have answered the phone, maybe my mom or somebody, but my dad, I'm like, my dad, like, why is he calling me? And he's in the military too. He's one of the reasons why I joined the military. So pick up the phone and he's like, hey man, what's going on? I just want to tell you Merry Christmas. I was thinking about you. And I'm just like, I can't, I'm just like crying. He's like, wait, what? Like, what's going on? I'm like, I just, it was bad, man. Like drunken, cry, and I remember he's like, you know what? Just call me right back. Like, call me right back. And like hung up on me. Like, what? This dude just hung up on me. So call him back and he's like, all right, what is going on? And I was like, she left and I can't do this. The military kicked me out and I'm gonna lose my career and I don't know what to do. And I just die and just going through this whole thing, and he's like, man, it's like, there's so much more to life than like, this is just a hiccup, like you got this, like just reassuring me. He's like, you need to go talk to chaplains. You need to go talk to mental health. You need to go talk to, like, I'm not talking to chaplains. Like, it's God's fault. Blamed everything on God, it's God's fault. And he's like, no. He's like, just go talk to chaplains and go do this and go do this. So, I made him a promise, like, okay, well, after like Christmas and stuff, so other people were calling me, and, I was like, look, I need to do something. I need to go somewhere. I need to do something, So, so I spent Christmas, with some people from work and yeah, so that's it, man. I went from suicide to, going and talking to chaplains and reaching out for help. I made a promise to myself. I says, if I can do this, okay, like if I can really, like if I focus and I can do this, then I want to give back as much as I can. But if once again I fail, like I will stop at nothing just to take my own life. Like if I fail again, like this is it. I'm giving God one more chance. I'm giving the world one more chance. I'm giving myself one more chance. Like if I fail, like I'm just done. Like I don't want to live no more, And so for the next couple of days, I was still like, please God, just don't let me wake up. Like just like if this is it, like just don't let me wake up and like I was willing myself to die. Like please God, just take me now, And, by the first of the year and into January, I was in alcohol classes and I was talking to chaplains and kind of still didn't believe, in the whole God thing, but, I was giving it a shot and I was just like, whatever. And about 6 months later, my commander's like, dude, like you haven't drank, you helped other people quit smoking. You're volunteering in the community, like Habitat for Humanities and stuff like that. It's like, you got an awesome testimony, man. Like you need to go tell your testimony. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, man, you need to go be a drill instructor for basic training. I'm like, yell at people. Like you want me, this broken dude, to go yell at people. Like, yeah, that's a real good idea. He's like, no, dude, it's going to be great for you. It's going to be great for you. So I did. I went and been a drill instructor, and I was there for 4 years. And that's where I found my passion and love for public speaking and making an impact and, telling my testimony. I found ways to do it, and there's some kids that come in and they're like, I can't do this. I'm going to kill myself. And I'm like, dude, I'm where you're at, man. Like literally like a year ago or 2 years ago, whatever, time frame was. It's like, I was right there, dude. Like, and I just tell my story and they're like, oh my gosh. I'm like, but here I am, man. Tomorrow's another day. And the next day after that, and the next day after that, I tell them like every moment you wake up, like every day, what I mean? The moment you wake up, like you have the power to say, this is not how my story ends. This is not how my story ends. You freaking write another chapter, write another page, So that's why I think journaling is like one of the best things you could ever do. You wake up and you journal. What am I feeling? What am I thinking? What am I seeing? How can I make change? What do I want to see change? Sometimes we don't even know what needs to change. We just know that we need to change. Like, I don't like this. Like this feels bad. Like, I don't like this. So I spent there for 4 years. And then after my 4 years was up as a drill instructor, I moved to North Carolina where I'm at now. And I became a resilience trainer. And now I'm a master resilience implementer, where I teach mental, physical, social, emotional, and spiritual resilience skills. And what these do is they help you to withstand, recover, and grow through adversity, stress, and life's changing demands, man. We get to a point where we're fed up with the world. We're fed up with life. Like, dude, this is like, I can't keep people who are broke, they're just like, I can't keep doing this. Like, this sucks, and you got to make a change. So that's what I do, man. I help people, to live an epic life by figuring out what they don't like, what needs to change. And I tell them my testimony. I'm like, dude, like I was literally had the gun in my mouth, man. Like I had the gun in my mouth. I was ready to go. I had already made peace with it. Like I was ready to go. So wow. I speak at suicide awareness events. I was in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and I was speaking at a resilience seminar. And one of the classmates came up, one of the students came up, at the end and was like, if I wouldn't have gone here, I think I would have killed myself. I'm like, what? So yeah, I had every intention of going home and killing myself today, but I don't think I'm going to. It's like, oh my God, like that, my heart hurt, like my chest, like it hurt physically, hearing this guy. And I'm like, dude, I know exactly what that feels like. Like what you're feeling, bro. I feel that, So when I'm at suicide awareness events and I'm talking to parents and families and, other suicide survivors, it's just that feeling that you get with hearing that somebody, like, you're not the only one, like that type of feeling. It's a good feeling, but it's a bad feeling. You know what I mean? Like other people had to experience a certain level of pain that I felt. But it's a good feeling because like they're here and we get to talk about it. Like me and you, like we get to talk about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And if you weren't here, then I wouldn't have a platform to tell my testimony and your listeners wouldn't have a story to hear and you wouldn't have a story to tell.
Yeah. No, that's the foundation of why I even created this podcast, is to make people feel less alone, because I know that like I may not have the answers for you. I may not have everything that you need to do today. Like I'll give you ideas about what actions to take, and as long as we're just having the conversation, if we're thinking these thoughts and we're not talking about them, that's where problems can spiral into becoming deeper and worse, I think. as long as you just feel like you're not alone, and then you actually reach out to someone like you or myself, and you go, like, I had the same sort of thoughts, and I thought that maybe they were just thoughts and they were normal. Everyone has those thoughts, right? But no, like you're having those thoughts, and I think the huge difference is like taking the action, of course, and actually behaving in that way. And I'm not a therapist. I always say that in the beginning of my
Right.
shows. I'm not a licensed therapist, but I'll tell you what, I know that for if I had $1 every time a girl told me like, "Hey, Logan, I wasn't looking for the answer. I was just looking for somebody to listen to me," then I would be a millionaire. And I know that it works
Right.
for a lot of people too. Is like people just need to be heard. Their voice needs to be heard. So I
Yep.
mean, just hearing people's traumas, I think, for me at least, makes me feel so much more fortunate to be alive. Because like you, man, I mean, oh my God, I went through it too. But I don't want to keep talking. I want to kind of get into your resilience thing because
Yeah, man.
honestly, I really think that the resilience training that you do could save some more lives. And I want to pick your mind about that. So what is
Yeah,
like
man.
what's like the first thing that you would do with someone? They come to you, they go, hey, I don't like my job. I I I love what you do. I would love to do what you do. How can I get started today on this resilience training?
So you, so somebody's like, I don't like my job. Like, I want to do what you do. Like, I want to be a resilience trainer, speaker, all that.
Yeah, like all right,
Okay.
I
Perfect.
hate working 9 to 5. I hate listening to my boss,
Sure.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So if resilience is something, because it takes a certain mindset, you know what I mean? It takes, you have to be authentic, you have to be genuine, and you have to be especially transparent. Because people like, like what you and I have done and gone through and experienced, whatever, we're gonna see right through people's crap. Like, I know when somebody's being, insensitive, or somebody's being not transparent. Like, oh yeah, I know what you feel. Like, I get it. I'm like, yeah, I don't think you do. Like, I'm not getting that vibe. Like, I really don't. But people who, like, I talk to people, I'm like, yeah, I did this, and they're like, oh my god, yeah, man, yeah. And they just, you can see it on their face, like they just get it, man. They understand, they know. And I've talked to a lot of people, over the years, who were just like, oh yeah, dude. And it's like, yeah, I don't get it, man. It's one of those like sympathy, votes or whatever. So you definitely have to be transparent. But in order for you to get started, you got to figure out what your message is going to be. So resilience is just a platform that I use to tell my testimony and give a call to action and inspire someone to make a change. And the tools that I give while I'm speaking is designed for you to get a level of self-mastery, life mastery, and for you to start living the life that you want to live the life of your dreams. That's everything to me. So I do breakout sessions, I do keynotes, I do a 2-day resilience boot camp here in North Carolina. My resilience boot camp is, done over a 2-day period, 4 times a year. And some of the things that we talk about is our why, like why we do what we do. So if somebody wanted to get started in the training, if they wanted to become a trainer, I would say, you need to look up some fact-based positive psychology research studies. A good one to look up is the broaden and build theory. Barbara Fredrickson is a UNC Chapel Hill researcher who in the early 2000s came up with this theory called the broaden and build theory. And the broaden and build theory, in a sense, states that every positive emotion builds on itself and every negative emotion builds on itself. So in a sense, one negative emotion, puts you down, and then another one, and another one, and another one, and finally you're in the negative spiral, right? It's hard to bounce back when you're already down into that toilet bowl, when you're down into that negative spiral. It's hard. It's like people, they say like, oh my God, what else bad can happen today? Like, I just know, like, this is the worst day ever. And they're just in a bad mood. Nobody really celebrates failure. Like, nobody wakes up and says, I'm going to fail at everything today. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fail at everything. Like, nobody does that, you know? But when you have a positive day, everybody knows about it. Everybody like, oh my God, I had a great day. It was amazing. And then this is everything and they start naming things off, right? It's like having a level of gratitude. But if you can focus on positives more than the negatives, this theory doesn't say that nothing negative is going to happen to you. It literally says that all these positive emotions build a wall. They build a buffer for challenges that inevitably you are going to face. So think of gratitude in the theory as a bank. You're depositing all this gratitude. You're depositing all this gratitude, right? You get 100 gratitude points, let's say, and then boom, something happens, knocks you down like 30 points. Like, okay, I still got some left. I still got some left, right? Your whole job is to build that gratitude tank up to where every negative takes you down, but it doesn't take you out. So that's like one of the main things. Like you have to start looking at some fact-based positive psychology research. And that was what my TEDx talk was on. Some of the research I used was the white bear phenomena that says that, where focus goes, energy flows. Literally, like what Tony Robbins says. Because if you have unproductive thoughts, then you have to deal with them. Like acceptance is huge. You have to accept it. And for me, like accepting my life and accepting things that were going on. Like I didn't want to accept it. I was physically abused as a child from my second grade year to when I was in like seventh grade. I was like, yeah, like right around like the end of sixth grade, going into seventh grade. And in my lifetime, from the time I was born to the age of 18, I lived in 11 different houses and I attended 8 different schools. In third grade, I lived in 2 different houses and attended 2 different schools. And the one school I attended third grade for like 6 weeks. And then I passed third grade. And then I went on to another school in fourth grade. Like we always got kicked out. We got evicted. We lived in my grandparents' basement for a while. Domestic violence, alcohol, dominated household. And that's what I grew up in. So I never really dealt with those things. And I never really accepted those moments that happened to me. And so I just suppressed them because I didn't want to feel them. You know what I mean? I just suppressed them until I found alcohol and, things come out,
Yeah.
But,
and that's, I don't want to interrupt you, but
yeah.
I just got to say that's what the problem that happens all the time is people, they suppress the feelings and they don't, like you're talking about acceptance. The same thing with feelings. They don't accept their feelings. So they go straight to that thing and it all comes down to habit, like your habit to get away from your problems is alcohol, or your habit to get away from your problems is exercising. Even though it's good for you, it can still be a way to avoid. I know that for me, that's personally a problem with me is like, whenever I have a really bad problem, I'm like, dude, I'm just going to go work out, stay away from everybody right now and just run away. And I know that if anyone else is listening, and I know like this is not just me, this is also like putting you on the spot too, is like, where are those things in your life where you can be more mindful and ask yourself the quality questions and go, hey, like, where am I not showing up and what am I suppressing? Because
absolutely.
It's just those things right there will actually, I think, capitalize in actually making a change, because it will not happen until you, like you said earlier, self-accept.
Oh yeah. The acceptance is huge, man. Acceptance is huge. So what the white bear phenomena says is it's all about acceptance. So the white bear phenomena is a polar bear. And the exercise is that you look at this polar bear, you're checking it out, looking at it, and then, okay, close your eyes. And I really want you to not think about a polar bear. Like whatever you do, don't think about the polar bear. 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 And you just don't think about the polar bear. Don't think about it. So what are you doing? You're actively using energy to not think about the polar bear. And what do you end up doing? You think about the polar bear, because where focus goes, energy flows. We do this stuff all the time. A bad breakup, a friendship got ruined, right? You're like, man, why did he do this to me? Why did he do this? Instead of moving on, you're like, you know what? That guy sucks. Like, he ruined our friendship. That guy sucks. I'm going to move on with life. We don't move on. We sit there, we plant a mailbox and an address and say, this is where I'm living. I'm living in this hurt. I'm living in this regret. I'm living in this pain. This is what we're doing, And it, that research is basically a way for you to realize that acceptance is huge, because if we always focus on that, like focus on the breakups and the careers and the bad things and your thoughts can be counterproductive. Because if you're trying to not, like, I'm not going to think about it. That really hurt. That guy, my friend, he really hurt me. He stole my girlfriend or cheated on my, with my wife, or, whatever the case may be. This guy fired me because, whatever. And it really, like, it tears you up, right? There's got to be a level of acceptance. Like, what? This happened and this sucks. And this is how I feel about it. This is where journaling comes in. This is how I feel about it. What am I going to do to move on from this? And sometimes we just can't move on. Like, we hold a grudge and, but actively focusing on trying to not think about it, you end up thinking about it and you're putting energy towards something that you're trying to not think about. So acceptance is just saying, you know what? I can't remove the pain. I can't remove the loss, the grief. But what I can do is I can make peace with it. I either forgive that person or whatever I got to do. And that's it. And I move on. And I might think about it every once in a while, but I'm focusing on other things, So it's a great research study that really looks at us and goes, what are we focusing on? What's most important right now is what we should be focusing on. Something that happened a week ago, a month ago. I mean, I think of things all the time. Like, that's like 10 years ago. Like, why am I thinking about that? And then all of a sudden you know what? That was really stupid what I did. That was really dumb. Well, all right then, and I move on, because I literally, like, I accept the thought, because a lot of times we don't want to think about things like, oh, I'm not gonna think about that. And then we're trying to suppress it. Wrong. Accept it. Accept that that's what you're thinking about. Accept your feelings. Accept that in this moment, I think, feel, and believe this way. Accept it. And then take steps to move forward. Always moving forward. Resilience isn't about bouncing back or what. It's about failing forward. It's about bouncing forward and living a better life.
Oh man, I love that you say that. Oh man, I love that. One of your talks, you talk about just that thing. It's like, God or whatever you believe in. First of all, like, let's just take that. Let's put it out on the table. Like, if you believe in God and it's making you feel better, great. If you believe in people in your life right now have the ability to make you better, either way, I think it's always great to believe in a higher power of some sort. But you say that, that God, that person in your life doesn't believe that where you've been is really what matters. It's what you do with what you've had gone through and then moving forward, like you said, failing forward. And so, like, oh my God, I love that you talk about the polar bear effect, because that we harp on ourselves and we hate ourselves and we want to self-inflict. And I don't say those words lightly. When we think about a certain thing and we try to avoid those thoughts, it just gets worse. It's like, it's like putting, a Band-Aid on a clear wound that needs stitches. Like, you need stitches, man. Don't keep trying to put Band-Aids on it. Right. Like, go to the hospital, get yourself fixed. And the same thing happens with a really broken mind, I believe, at least one that doesn't have resiliency, because that's why I love what you do, is it's training your mind. What I'm actually learning right now from you, it's training your mind to go, let's accept these problems right now that are in my life, like the overwhelming depressive thoughts or the overwhelming anxiety or the overwhelming of not being able to, like, change myself being when I'm around people and getting upset with people, rather than going, hey, like, I have the ability to not get upset about this. Like, I have the ability to just go, hey, what is really the problem right now? And I think journaling is a great way to kind of, like, be mindful and get ready for those sort of atomic bombs when they do go off, to go, okay, I remember getting upset about this exact situation. I need to, like, just settle down. I journaled about it before. I know how to approach this and move on with it. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you for that.
You said something that I love, man, that resilience is a learned behavior. Everything we do is a learned behavior. We're not born loving. We're not born hateful. We're not born racist. We're not born political. We're not born religious, like nothing. Like it's all a learned behavior. If you want some really good positive psychology research, my TEDx talk was on, hacking your brain into success, right? So you can actually hack into your brain and rewire your brain structure. And resilience is absolutely a learned behavior, So Catherine Wollett and Eleanor McGuire back in it was like 2006, 2008. Anyway, so they're from the Neuroimaging College of London. And what they did was they followed 79 cab drivers for about 3 to 4 years. This whole thing took place. But it takes 3 to 4 years for a London cab driver to be certified like as a cabbie. Okay? And the final test is called the Knowledge of London Examination System. That's what it's called. So they followed these 79 cab drivers over that 3 to 4 year period, and they took MRIs of their brains at the beginning, and then every so often took MRIs of their brains. And the ones that passed that test, and some of these guys, it took 12 times to pass the test because it is a brutal learning process to learn all of London's roads with no GPS. Like you just have to know them, right? And so it takes about 3 or 4 years and almost 12 times to pass this test. And what they found was that the people who passed actually rewired their brain's nervous system. And so inside of the hippocampus, which is underneath located by our cerebral cortex, that's where our spatial like navigation and memory and short-term and long-term memory, like that's where it's all located, right? That area of the brain was significantly larger than everybody else who had failed that test. And they had 31 other people that they followed around, and the areas of their brains for whatever job that they do was significantly larger than the cab driver's brains. They're like, wait a minute. So the cab drivers, like over a period of time, learned how to map out the roads and were successful because they learned how to train their brain. And the ones that failed did not. And their brain structure was actually changed. And the area of their brain for navigation, everything was significantly larger because of the process that they used to train their brain. So they looked at all the other people that were in the research study, and they're like, well, this person's a lawyer, this person's this and this. It's like their brain is significantly larger in this area that's correlated to whatever their job is or whatever they believe in. And what they concluded was that with time and with training, you can actually rewire your brain structure to think, feel, and believe the way that you want and the way that is successful and gets you successful. My mind was blown when I read this research study. I was like, oh yeah, this is it. This is the TED Talk right here. We're going to hack our brains.
I love that. Dude, that's crazy. I've kind of heard about that stuff before, just because of the lovely world of podcasting and the amazing information that it delivers on some of these. That's why I tell everyone, I'm like, listen to podcasts. Like it's the best.
Yeah. It's their brain's neuroplasticity. That's what it is. Like even people who listen to podcasts, like I listen to, a couple of them. I listen to Jeremy's. I listen to a couple speaker podcasts. There's ones that, that I'll always listen to, and I'm learning so much. Right. And I'm basically like your brain's neuroplasticity. Like you can teach a dog new tricks. That is like you absolutely can train and teach a dog new tricks. So
let's I know that you're repeating that, like, but seriously, like take that in. I'm taking it in.
If you're 50, if you're the 60, person that 70, doesn't matter.
Like you can change. Like think about 5 years ago. I remember 5 years ago, I was not nearly the way I am now. But we forget that along the way. Which I kind of want to ask you the question of like, what makes someone like so clear on a goal that they really want? Like they really want to it comes down to values, you think?
Values.
So they lose sight of it?
Yeah. So January 1st to January 5th, Gold's Gym loves it. They get so rich, right? From January 6th to January 9th, Dunkin' Donuts and Krispy Kremes, donut places, they get rich, because why? We're writing New Year's resolutions on a bar napkin. we're drunk half the time. Not me, but people that, in bars or whatever are drunk because they're like, yeah, it's New Year's and I'm going to change and I'm going to this and, whatever. And people who are not, and they're sitting at home with their families and like, what kind of resolution do we want to have? And like, it's a stark contrast, and it comes down to values. Goal setting has been done millions of ways. And I've seen maybe once or twice where people have actually put a value first and then wrapped the goal around the value. So do you value health? Yes, I value health. Cool. Lose 10 pounds. The goal isn't to lose 10 pounds. The value is that you want to live a healthy life. I mean, that's really like values are where you want to be in life, and goals are just the accomplishments along the way. So your values are your moral compass. Your values are what drive you forward, right? It's your why. It's your, so my values are like love, honesty, loyalty, relationships, and adventure. So I have loyalty and honor like tattooed on my arm because that is my values. I call it living your brand. When you read earlier, like live your brand. Living your brand is simply living out the values that you hold in your heart. So if you tell me that I value honesty, but you lie to everybody, that's not a value. That's not what you value, or you're just a huge hypocrite. So if you ever want to see what somebody values, check out their bank account for the last 30 days and check out what they spent time on for the last 30 days. Check out their calendar and check out their bank account, because time and money are things that people willingly will never give up. If anybody listening wants to send me $50, that would be amazing, but it ain't going to happen. So time and money are two things that people willingly never give up. So if you ever want to see what somebody values, figure out what they spend money on and figure what they spend time on. So if you tell me that family is most important, but you never spend time with your family, that's not a value. So what you want to do is put your values first. Put your values first. I value love, money, relationships, whatever it is, and then figure out a goal for you to live out that value. So if you want to say you value relationships, okay? You value relationships. How are you going to be better in relationships? I'm going to have every Thursday for family night playing games. I'm going to spend 1 hour a day. Like my family, we spend at dinner, we have no electronics, no phones, no tablet, no nothing, zero. And we talk. The TV's not on, the radio's not on, there's nothing. It's just us. For that 1 hour, we get to sit and talk with each other. How was your day? What are you doing? What do you think about this? What's going on with this? We're talking, we're conversing, I love that. I've been to some dinner tables at my friend's house where like the kid's got a tablet going and she's on her phone and the TV's on. I'm like, dude, you guys don't even talk. Or you go to a restaurant, just look at a restaurant, both people are on their phone and they're not even talking and they're eating, but they're not. I'm like, really, dude? Oh, for real? So that's our rule, man. No electronic dinner table. That's our rule. So because I value family, I've made a goal around becoming and living that value.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that if you actually maybe use one of your tricks is journal about your values, make your, what I personally, I dub not as living your brand, but your personal philosophy. Yeah. Having that personal philosophy of like your core values also makes you so much less confused when you do feel like you're wasting time and you go, hey, what should I do next with this moment? If you wrote down or, in the past, made a decision on what personal values you have or you're living your brand, it becomes way less confusing. It becomes way less confusing that, what should I do next? I should go on Facebook and just, I'll just look at like 5 statuses. But then all of a sudden 3 hours goes by and 3 hours turns into feeling like garbage, honestly, because then you compare yourself during that 3 hours. You probably, read some awesome new comments on someone else's feed or and then worried about, hey, how am I doing my own life? Instead of having personal values is, like my personal why is to just reach 10 million people and help people with less suffering. I don't think it should be cured because I actually think that curing it would be the problem. I think just helping it and giving people little tools and solutions like what you're doing today is totally based off of my personal philosophy. And I think one of your values is to share your story as much as possible with people that relate with this. So you have more people come up to you, like you said earlier, that kid that came up to you and said, today was going to be my last day, to be honest with you. Because when you do that, it's not like you did it all, but it's coming through you. You know what I mean? Like you have to, if you just share your message, it's coming through you. And the more you share,
Right.
the better life can be. And I think anybody right now that's listening, if you have something that you need to get off your chest, just please Instagram it, Facebook, Twitter it, whatever it is, do your social media stuff, do something that I said or that Sean said, just to get it out into the ethos. I think if you don't have anything to say, you have something to say now, I promise, from what you've just heard today. But hey, I just want to like do a few sort of, I call them scratching the surface
Yep.
curiosity questions,
Sure.
because I'm a curious cat.
Do it.
Yeah, so whenever you're ready, I'll get into those.
I'm ready.
Awesome, dude, you are ready. I love it. So the first thing I love to do, just to sort of make someone feel a little less alone, is what's that one thought that keeps coming up that you just wish you didn't have?
Am I good enough?
Oh man, yeah.
Like I got a
Yeah,
TED Talk,
that's
man. To me, like that's the Super Bowl of speaking. You're good enough
yeah,
to be on that stage. Like you're a good enough speaker, right? And for that moment, I was good enough. And now I'm home, back in my life. Am I good enough? I keep telling myself, dude, you're good. You got a TED Talk. You got a TED Talk, dude. You're good. You're good. 1,000 people can tell you you're good enough. But if you don't believe it, it doesn't matter. What you think, feel, and believe about the world, and what you think, feel, and believe about yourself drives all reactions and all decisions 100% of the time.
yeah. Belief is so prolific, man. With money, with relationships, with the exercise goal. If you don't believe it, it's not happening. But I, dude, yeah. That thought, no matter how successful someone is, every single time I talk to them about that, they are just like, yeah, I don't feel like I'm enough. But anyways, thank you for that. That I think helps anybody that's going for that TED Talk. Go, all right, I'm enough. And that's what you could base your TED Talk off of if you want to do something like that. It's great stuff right there. The next question I'd like to ask is, dude, what's your spirit animal?
I don't know, man. I've never been asked that question before. I don't even know how I would figure that out. I thought about it too.
Dude.
I was like, I wonder if he's going to ask me that. I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. An eagle, I guess. I don't know. I mean, if I had to die and come back as an animal, I'd either want to be a lion because, the whole thing about king of the jungle, whatever. But like an eagle, man, like,
You
I don't
can
know.
soar.
Yeah, right? Like you soar above it all. And, I think that because when we look at birds flying by, like regular bird, like not like these little robins and, but like hawks and eagle, like you're just in awe. Like that is a killing death machine. You know what I mean? Like you look at the talons on like the hawks and stuff, you know what I mean? And some of these big, huge birds, they're flying over. You're like, holy crap. Like they're just massive birds, So I think that's it, man. I think it's an eagle.
Dude, I think that's a great spirit animal. I mean, the only reason why I asked that question because in college we did a semester about having an animal, and we had to be that animal for a semester. Like no joke, like full on, like become a bear, full on. Which mine was actually a bonobo, which is a type of chimpanzee, one that is very addicted to sex, and one that's very addicted to food, and that's kind of the only two planes that they think on is sex and food. But I think when you have in a weird way, if you have that like that spirit animal, and when you're going into the jungle, like that could be your sort of like your hero's masks. You know what I mean? Like to put on that sort of like sub personality to to conquer the things that you really want. Like,
Oh yeah, man.
not that, some people might think that's woo woo, but I don't. Anyways, I love the question, even though it's pretty much in every single radio show you'll ever listen to. But my mind thinks in mantras and quotes. What's a certain mantra and quote that you live by?
Oh man, I love this question. I love it. So one of the quotes that I live by is something I say on stage, before I get off, and I say, "Be be relentless in pursuit of what sets your soul on fire." Like, be relentless, never let up. Always be relentless in what sets your soul on fire.
Dude, that's huge. That is so. It's awesome that you say that because I think that is like there's no such thing as motivation anymore when you do something like that.
Right.
Like when you are so obsessed and so relentless with some idea that you have, like it's actually harder to put on the brakes than it is to put on the accelerator. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That. Thanks for that, dude.
Affirmations are
I'll
huge too,
include
man.
that. Yeah.
Like, develop yourself an
You do 'em a lot?
affirmation. Oh yeah, man. I teach my kids to do them, and they feel embarrassed. Like, well, I'm like, what? You don't want to tell yourself that you're beautiful? Like, you don't want to tell yourself that? Like, I don't. Like, we're always so complimentative to everybody else, but we never compliment ourselves. We never, look ourselves in the mirror and be like, you know what? You're enough. Like, you're an amazing person. Because we don't believe it. That's why affirmations are hard, because you have to rewire your brain to believe what you're saying about yourself. We know that, like, Tony Robbins is amazing, and some people don't like him and some people love him. Most people love him. And so we can just look at somebody and go, yeah, that dude's awesome. Like, man, that football player, like, oh my God, he's such a great player. Like, oh my gosh. And you look at yourself and like, tell yourself you're a good football player. Like, but I'm not. Like, tell yourself that you're awesome. Like, a lot of people fail at affirmation because they just don't believe it. But I do it every day. Like, I have affirmations that I say every day. And it's just another way for me to just keep going and believe because, I mean, our brain's wired for survival. So if something hurts and something's painful, whatever, we want to run away from it. Affirmations help.
It's, dude, the self-talk thing, a whole course on that is, so if you see one and you want to get into self-talk, I think reading a book or taking a course on it is a great investment in yourself. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
One just of the because best investments you can ever do.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, I'd love to ask you this question. If you could take anybody that's either alive or dead and sit them down in a chair, who would it be and what would you want to ask them?
Oh, definitely Jesus.
Oh, man, that's huge. What would you want to ask him?
I would definitely have a conversation with Jesus and go, WTH, bro. like, did I really have to go through all that? Like, really? Like, couldn't you just empower me to be an awesome speaker? Like, did I really have to go through like the powerful testimony stuff? Like, that stuff sucked. Okay. For like 2 years, like my life was like terrible. Like, everything sucked. My house burned down. My dogs, got taken from me, which was like my children. That was my fur babies, I had 2 big, massive pit bulls, I failed at relationships. I was getting kicked out of the military. I was drinking all the time. I got in fights. I wrecked my car. Like, I mean, it was just one thing after another. Like, it was like hell for 2 years. I'm like, bro, did I really need to go through all that? You know what I mean? Like, I'd have a serious conversation with this man.
Oh God. Yeah, dude, that's huge. That's, I don't know what I would do either with that man sitting in front of me. And yeah, I would probably, I know I would say something smart, Alec, like, dude, you have a lot of questions to answer. First of all, like you really haven't done the best job at being there for us when we need it right now. Cause I mean, there are some people that are really suffering right now, but yeah, in a way it's all a blessing in disguise.
Exactly.
Which,
I look back. I look back. It's like 2008, 2009, 2007. My house burned down, and so 2007, 2008. Jesus. I'm going through this, this period where like I'm living in my car, because I don't have a home. I'm living in a hotel, and then run out of money, so I can't afford that anymore. And then I move in with, with my girl, and then we become married. But all the bad stuff happens, and then I have this testimony. Then I went to basic training to figure out a way to tell that testimony and become a speaker. And then I left basic training with a testimony and a way to tell it. And then I became a resilience trainer, and I now have a platform, and now I have my own radio show. So, I mean, if I wouldn't have had the testimony, all that other stuff is irrelevant. It would have never happened. So it's hard for me to go back and say, wish this wouldn't happen, but pain is part of the process. I mean, it really is. Pain is part of the process.
Yeah.
Without my testimony, what do I have? I'm just a military dude working 9 to 5. And that's it.
Yep.
My whole speaking career and speaking business and the videos I make and the things that I do in my radio show is all spawned from that moment of me trying to take my life. The rest of my life is based on that moment.
It's just so odd that that's kind of how it has to work out,
Right? Because it hurts.
God, it's just so weird. Dude, we could talk about that kind of stuff. And I'd love to for the next hour and a half. I'll have you back on. We'll talk about all that. We'll just dude, we'll do no interviews, just sort of let's just go free flow, sort of just whatever on our mind.
Yeah.
So, hey, I would love to, I always like this question because I'm always very curious on the answer that I always get. It's, so dude, you have 3 minutes to give your family, your friends, your loved ones some piece of recording that you believe in, or that maybe you want them to just keep in mind when they're alone. What is it going to be? What's going to have what's those 3 minutes compiled of?
Oh man. The 3 minutes are compiled of, telling them how much, they mean to me, how much they've, changed my life or helped me in some way, and that they have the power to impact and change others' lives. And, find your why. Simon Sinek said that people don't buy into what you do, they buy why you do it. Your why has to be the forefront of everything you do. So if you don't have a why for what you do, then you're committing spiritual suicide. You're going day to day, not doing anything of purpose or nothing. So you have to find your why. And once you find your why, then you can turn it into action. So once you find your purpose or your why, you're fueled by passion and you can turn it into action. So you have the power to change lives. It's up to you. You either do it or you don't. But I know for a fact, everybody has the power to impact somebody and make a positive impact difference in the lives of every single person they meet every single day. That's it, man.
I love that. Dude, in actor training, I think this is the reason why I think, even though I'm no longer an actor, the acting training, and I'm sure you can even say this with the U.S. military training that you did, is once you figure out the why, the actions are the hows.
Yep.
The how are we going to get there, though? How are we going to do those little actions are so important that people they just go, okay, I know this why, whatever. I mean, that's awesome. But really, I feel like how is more important. No. The hows actually become really stupid, simple, easy.
Oh yeah, man.
Once you get that why down, and if you're super specific with that why, the hows just come out. You'll behave in a new way where you start doing things and you're like, I didn't even know that was in me. Wow. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I guarantee anyone that's listening right now will surprise themselves if they get super crystal clear on your why. And if you need help getting super crystal clear, dude, reach out to Sean. So with that being said, how can people find you? I know that you're on YouTube, but hey, directly, where can they find you?
Yeah. So my website is www.thesuccesscore, thesuccesscore.com. And I'm all over Facebook. I'm all over LinkedIn. You can message me on my website. You can message me on Facebook. You can go to facebook.com/The Success Core or facebook.com/Sean Douglas Speaks. Those are both my pages. I've got a personal profile, just look me up. I'm not hard to find, man. I'd love to talk with you. I'd love to, get to know any of the listeners and how I could help, because you never know what one conversation can do to you and how drastically different your life could be by reaching out to somebody and say, what, enough is enough and it's time for a change.
So true. Oh man, thank you so much for that. This was awesome hanging out with you. I just want to give you the opportunity, the platform. I don't usually do this, but like I love the way your mind works, and I just feel like I got to give you the opportunity to say anything that you wish you would have said. Now knowing that everything, all the stuff that's happened to you, and you've been so open with your story, and you've been so revealing with the way you live your lifestyle, knowing this all in hand and in mind, what is something that you just wish our listeners could hear, or one action that they could take like today, right now, without waiting?
Write down your top 5 core values. Write down what you value the most. And don't tell me that you don't value anything, because you're obviously breathing. So if you have to write down, I value air, then write down, I value air. But write down your top 5 core values. These are not negotiable. These are what I believe. This is what I feel. So like me is like loyalty, honesty, love, relationships. If you value impact, if you whatever it is that you value, I value phones. Okay, but more than that, like what about the phone? It's the connection. Okay, cool. I value significance. I value certainty. Like whatever it is that you value, write it down. And then every single day, live out those core values. Make a conscious effort to every day live those values out as much as you can, and be a person of core values. That's huge, because what do you want to be known for? Do you want to be known as a lowlife, or a drunk, or somebody who operates at a low level? Or do you want to be known as somebody who is an impact player, who is leaving a legacy behind? It's up to you.
That's hard to do. I know hearing it's hard to listen to, but you got to do it. Like you got to pay attention to that kind of stuff.
Yep.
You got to, it's hard. I know. And got tos and shoulds and all that stuff. Man. Like
that's a whole nother episode.
When there's huge. Yeah. Like, come on, just get down to those core values, and all those things become a little bit less difficult to actually make a decision on and change. But dude, thank you so much again, Sean, for hanging out with me on Scratch Your Own Itch. And dude, I'll get you on here again. I can't wait to talk to you more on a later date.
Yeah, man, we'll get you on my show.
Awesome, dude. That'd be great. I love that. Well, there's another episode of Scratch Your Own Itch podcast with Sean Douglas and myself. Wow. He is one of those people that just, he gets it. And I don't know whether it's because of the direct pain that he's gone through, but what I really think is he's doing this because he needs to. Back to my first question. He's not doing this because of just like, he's trying to grind it out and work really hard, which it is grinding it out and working really hard, but there's that extreme need deep inside of him in which he needs to tell his story and share it globally with the world as much as possible. But thank you guys for coming in and always supporting the show. Please pay me a huge compliment by just sharing it with this person that you believe needs to hear this. And if you want, you can also leave a review. I know it's difficult. It's kind of odd. It's really odd to leave a review, but it's not the worst thing in life. It's not that hard. All you have to do is scroll down, look for the reviews area, and hit write a review and leave whatever you believe needs to be left. Honesty, authenticity, and transparency is what I'm about. And that's why I get emotional on the show. I don't want to hold back. I want you to also show up and be transparent in your own work or in your own fun, and I believe that you have the power to do that. And just always remember that you matter and you're enough. Yeah.